This might low-key be ASMR every once in a while, because I can't talk really loud. It's past 12. And my brother's like had surgery or something. So that's why I'm keeping it close to my mouth like this. Anyway. So I'm gonna be talking about true crime. I'm gonna be telling you about Britain. I don't know, guys. I'm French. I don't know how to say words sometimes. Britain. Like, it's like Brittany, right? Britain, whatever. Youngest killer. So, trigger warnings for just, a lot of, like, not cool stuff, like child abuse, child neglect. And then, obviously, unaliving of children and just not exciting topics, necessarily. But sometimes interesting ones, especially when it comes to someone as young as Mary Bell, which is who we're going to be talking about today. Let's get started. Okay, so I have notes on my phone. I have it in different sections, and I'm going to go through the sections like this because I planned this. I did this like more than a month ago. If that's something that interests you, or you just love me so much and you're gonna watch my videos and like it, even if you don't actually watch it. Okay, because I know this is not everybody's cup of tea. Okay, so overall background. This might be long as fuck, but it's okay. So Mary Flora Bell, she was born May 26th of 1957, and she's still alive to this day. She's, I think, 60 something, 69, no, something. So she's Britain's youngest killer. She was aged 10 during her first murder. Her mom, Betty, was a prostitute who would often leave her alone for days. She had a very absent father, from what I can understand. Her mom had her at 17. She was an unwanted baby and, like, really neglected. So when she was a kid, all the way to her young, like, child years, she suffered many injuries, which led to people, like, believing that she was being neglected or abused by her mother. So in 1960, when when Mary was only 3, Betty dropped her daughter from a first floor window, and another time she drugged her with sleeping pills. So her mom was trying to kill her. Great. In the mid-60s, she allegedly allowed and encouraged some of her sadomasochistic clients to also sexually abuse Mary, because, like I mentioned, she was a prostitute. Mary's mother often participated in these sessions where she would bind and blindfold Mary before forcing her to perform oral sex on her clients. From a young age, she would get into fights at school, and even once she tried to block a girl's trachea with sand. So that's a detail to remember, that, like, she was really young. We can assume maybe 5, like, or to 7 years old, or maybe a little bit older, maybe younger, who knows. But she already tried to suffocate somebody. And then when she was 10, I think, she befriended her neighbor who was 13 years old. Her name was Norma Bell, but they were not related. So they have the same last name, but they're not related. So a year after they met, this is the initial attempt, like in May 11th of 1968, she and Norma Bell attempted to take the lives of 4 different children, but they flopped. Like, they didn't succeed any of the times. One was a 3-year-old boy who they pushed from a 7-foot roof, which I might be wrong because it was hard to understand. Like, I understand they pushed him from a 7-foot building, 7-foot something, but he didn't die. And he walked and like a cop found him, and like the kid told him, like, these girls, they pushed me, bro. Like, I don't fucking know. Something like that. Like, I can't tell you exactly the statement of the 3-year-old boy because they don't have that recorded. But it was something along the lines of that he was playing with Mary and Norma and he was pushed. So, there's that. And then, same day, 3 other girls told their parents that both Mary and Norma tried to strangle them. The girls were like, no, bro, that's not me. They were like, for the boy, they were like, bro, we found the guy. We found this kid with injuries, but we left him there. We found him bleeding, bro, but we just left him there. Okay. So, Mary denied strangling any girls, but however, Norma was like, Mary tried to strangle each one of those girls. Mary, she was like, Mary's the one you're looking for. Me? I had nothing to do with that. I was a witness. I thought she was gonna get me next. So, flop though. Big flop. But again, what the fuck? 10 years old. What? And Norma, she was, I guess, considered like slower, like someone not as bright and smart and whatever. And so we just kind of assume that she like blindly followed these acts of a 10-year-old girl, and I do believe that I don't think Norma was leading anything, but it's still strange. You know what I'm saying? Their whole relationship dynamic is strange. Okay. Now, jumping to the first murder, not that many days after, only 2 weeks, exactly 2 weeks after her initial attempt that has been recorded, because those were reported to the police. So first, the boy was found by a cop, and the girls reported to their parents, who then reported to the police, and the police went to Mary's house, and then they questioned the girls, their neighbors, you know, you get what I'm saying. So, first murder on May 25th of 1968, so literally exactly 14 days, the day before her 11th birthday. So her 11th birthday is May 26th. She strangled 4-year-old Martin Brown in an abandoned upstairs bedroom, in like I said, an abandoned house in Scotswood. So, insert map of where that is, because I'm really bad with geography, girl. I'm not doing that. So she committed this crime alone. The boy's body was discovered by 3 other kids, because I guess a lot of people played in the abandoned house, which kind of makes sense. Like, as kids, like, if you found a place that wasn't being used, you just, you know, you play with it, you're with friends, like, your parents are around, it's, like, fine, it's normal. But yeah, it was discovered by 3 other kids around 3:30 p.m. And then there were specks of foam and blood around his mouth, but no other indication of a violent altercation. Don't turn off, girl. So, a workman, John Hall, attempted CPR. Like, I guess he was called by one of the kids. Like, they obviously alerted the adults around them. They don't have a phone, so they're gonna alert the adults around them. And so a workman attempted CPR, and then as he was doing that, Mary and Norma Bell, not related, same last name, appeared at the doorway of the bedroom, and they both, like, were quickly like, baby, like, you gotta get out of here. Like, then the girls, after being shooed out of the bedroom, being like, girl, get the fuck out, there's a dead kid. What are you girls doing here? Get out. They proceed to get out, and then they go to Martin's aunt's house, okay? They knock on Martin's house, door, whose name was Rita. So they knock on Rita's door, and they go, one of your sister's kid has just had an accident. We think it's Martin, but we can't tell because there's blood all over him. Sick and twisted. So the coroner was unable to find any signs of violence on the child's body, and thus was unable to determine the child's cause of death, although he was able to discount the investigators' theory that the child had died of poisoning through ingesting tablets, So we were like, baby, he didn't take any drugs. Do I know what happened? No, but I know he didn't take no drugs. I do really appreciate that. Like, like the guy was like, dude, I don't have any proof, but I have a fucking feeling this ain't fucking drugs. Peak. True, like, you get it. Okay. So, next day, it is Mary's 11th birthday. What better way to celebrate your 11th birthday than break into vandalize a nursery? Hopefully there were no kids in there. I don't think there were. But, so break into a freaking nursery nearby in Woodland Crescent. They wrote on the walls things along the lines of, "We did murder Martin Brown, fuck off, you bastard." Oh! So 2 days later, after that, on May 28th, shortly before the funeral of Martin Brown, both girls called upon the house of his mother, June, asking to see her son. When Jude replied that they could not see her son because he was dead, Mary replied, "Oh, I know he's dead. I just want to see him in his coffin." Girl. Tormenting the families is really where you start to be like, what the fuck? Like, I'm gonna tell you everything I think at the end, so stick around. So, get into the second and final unaliving. On the afternoon of July 31st, 1968, a 3-year-old boy named Brian Howie was last seen by his parents in the street outside his house playing with one of his siblings, the family dog, and Mary Bell and Norma Bell. He never returned home. Search party was set out and his body was found at 11:10 p.m. between two large concrete blocks. The body was covered messily with weeds, grass, and dirt, but never enough to cover it. The police stated it was a clear attempt at a cover-up, but it was sloppily done. There were several bruises and scratches on Brian's neck, and his lips and the surrounding skin were purplish. There was also a pair of broken scissors left by his feet. The coroner would conclude that Brian had died of strangulation, and that he had been deceased for up to 7.5 hours before discovering his body. The killer had held Brian's nose closed while also having his throat gripped with the other hand. There were numerous wounds on his legs, and some of his hair had been cut or ripped off. His genitals also had been mutilated. There was a weak attempt at carving the letter M in his stomach. A signature displays signs of serial killing tendencies. That's like a note that I put there. Sorry, I was just really locked in on reading. The coroner also determined that with the little amount of force that was used to kill the child, the murderer was also a child themselves. Numerous gray and maroon fibers were discovered upon Brian's clothing and shoes. These fibers did not source from any clothing within the Howie household and had been transferred to the child by his killers. So we can see like there's so first, even with the coroner like being able to tell that the amount of force that was used was only that could be done by a child themselves. The way that it was even done, the body was hidden, it was like gotten rid of, and the way that so much evidence was left behind you, I feel like you can even tell that it's someone that's very immature or very young. So in August, so like I'm pretty sure it was in between August like 2nd, August 4th, or maybe even the 1st, so like basically the day right after the body was discovered, because if you remember, the body was discovered really late at night, so almost in the morning of August 1st. So 1 or 2 days after the body was discovered, over 1,200 children were interviewed about their whereabouts on the day of Brian's death. My stomach kind of hurts, pardon me. Norma and Mary were interviewed specifically because they had been seen with Brian on the day of his murder. Norma was very excitable, like very like stressed and very like twitchy, while Mary was calm and observant. Both their testimonies were unclear and evasive and often contradictory. They agreed that they had played with Brian but denied seeing him after lunchtime, which would be approximately his time of death. When she was questioned again on August 2nd, Mary claimed that she had seen Brian Howie play with a boy who seemed to be about 8 years old, and she had also seen this boy hit Brian several times. Later, it was discovered that the boy that she named was at Newcastle's International Airport on the afternoon of July 31st, with numerous witnesses able to corroborate his parents' claims. During this interview, Mary stated that Brian was covered in dirt as if he had been rolling around on the ground. She also claimed that he had in possession a small pair of scissors, which is a detail that was not released. It was not released. Shit, girl, you almost had him. Dead ass, you almost had him. Quote from Mary: I saw him trying to cut a cat's tail off with the scissors, but there was something wrong with them. One leg was broken or bent. This was a self-incriminating statement, because only the police knew about the scissors found at the crime scene. So, this convinced James Dobson, which I think was the detective. It was. That Mary was the killer. That's a guilty little bitch, he said. He looked at her, he said, you're guilty. You fucking twat. Named Mary. No. Okay. First confession. Confession time. Yippee. On August 4th, Norma Bell's parents called the police stating that their daughter was ready to share what she knew about the death of Brian Howie. Norma, lock the fuck in. I'm saying this like if I was Mary, like, bitch, what? Do you have a fucking problem? Do you have a fucking problem? Do you think it's me? Well, fuck you. Get fucking pissed as shit. I thought we were friends. And you were there. Upsetting to say the least. But she is a guilty girl. Norma then informed Dobson, the detective, that Mary had Sorry, somebody some water. That Mary had taken her to a spot on the Tin Lizzie, at which point she'd been shown to Brian's body. Norma said that Mary had then demonstrated to her how she strangled the child. According to Norma, Mary had confessed to her that she had enjoyed strangling the child before describing how she inflicted the score marks onto his stomach with the razor blade, which had been hidden at the crime scene, and the broken scissors. Norma then led the police to the crime scene and revealed the location where the razor blade was. Norma also made a drawing of the wounds inflicted to the boy's abdomen precisely matched those described by the coroner. So basically they were like, okay, this bitch is not just pulling shit out of her ass, she deadass got the body shelled by Mary, and Mary's a little guilty fucking quat. So, Mary said on August 5th, she gets visited by the police early in the morning, and she was very defensive when confronted with the inconsistency of her previous statement. She said, you're trying to brainwash me. I will get a solicitor to get me out of this. Work, I guess. Nobody knows. Norma was questioned again after that. This time she made a full statement in which she admitted to being present when Mary had actually strangled Brian. According to Norma, when the trio were alone on the Tin Lizzie, Mary seemed to go all funny, pushing the child into the grass and attempting to strangle him before telling Norma, my hands are getting thick, take over. Sorry, I said that with an accent, take over. He's dead. It's over. Take over. Norma then ran from the scene, leaving Mary alone with Brian. This is, again, all according to her statement. Maybe she would have stayed for the rest of the body inflicting torture. I don't know. But she admitted to being a witness to the murder. Then we've got some more evidence. The fiber found on Howie's body was found to match the clothing fiber of Mary's woolen dress, and the fiber on his shoes match Norma Bell's skirt. So Basically, there's no saving you now, babe. You've got to go somewhere. I would say the psychiatric hospital, babe. I don't really know. Okay, so getting into charges. Both girls were formally charged with the murder of Brian Howie at 8 p.m. on August 7th, 1968. Mary replied, "That's all right by me." Norma simply said, "I never, I'll pay you back for this." I don't know what that means, but yes, girl. Mary tried to claim through a written statement that she was present when Brian Howie was murdered, but insisting that the murder had been committed by Norma. She also admitted to murdering Martin Brown and vandalizing the Woodland Crescent nursery the day after. So I don't know, truly what her idea was to be like, yeah, I didn't do that murder, but I did do the other one. Girl, that don't really change shit. It don't change shit. You killed somebody. You killed 2 people. You killed 1 person. Shut up. Sorry, but... Okay. Where they fit to be tried. It was revealed that Norma was intellectually delayed. And she was super submissive. I'm sorry. She was a submissive character who could easily be manipulated and she showed emotions, right? She had emotions. She was an emotional girl, sensitive girl. Mary was a bright yet cunning character, prone to sudden mood swings. 4 psychiatrists determined that she had a psychopathic personality disorder, which you are born with. So, that on top of being abused, great combo. It's going to be a great combo, because especially when you're already born with a psychopathy disease. That's great. So, trial December 5th, 1968. Both girls were tried before a judge whose name was Mr. Justice. Is this an alias? Is this a code name? Is this because you don't want your name? And I don't know, but maybe it's his last name. And a jury. They both pleaded not guilty. I'm sorry. What do you mean? How are you? I don't get that, babes. How are you gonna confess your crimes and then say you're not guilty? That makes no sense. You did them, didn't you? You did it. Yes, you did it. You said you did it. You just told me. So that's guilty. You're guilty. Oh, you don't feel bad. Is that what does not guilty mean? I'm confused. You did it though. Not guilty. You are guilty. You did it. I don't know. So it was stated by prosecutor Lyons that Mary was the more dominant one of the 2. He also said both girls had acted in unison and were equally culpable, killing both children solely for the pleasure and excitement of murder. Norma's defense, very brave because this is not about her. She just watched and never actively participated in the murders. Girl, I just filmed. I was just there. And I was clapping, and I was kind of telling her where to go. What the fuck? I was just there. I was just hanging out at her house, and then she started killing. And then we just started flipping. And then Mary's defense was, I have a dysfunctional family, and it was all Norma, and I didn't tell you because I'm loyal to Norma. Basically. Convictions. 9-day trial. Mary Bell was cleared of murder, but convicted of the manslaughter of both boys on the grounds of diminished responsibility. So, yeah. okay? Norma Bell was acquitted of all charges. What? Norma Bell was... What? That's you right now. Or maybe it's not. Maybe that was just me. Acquitted of all charges. There can't even be a charge for, like, she's 13. She was there for the vandalizing. You don't even want to charge her with vandalizing? You should. You should. You should. Something should happen. I'm sorry. Bell was released from custody in 1980, 12 years after the murders, at the age of 23. So, yeah. A lifelong court order granted her anonymity, which has been extended to protect the identity of her daughter and granddaughter. She has lived under a series of pseudonyms. So that is the case. So that's the case of Mary Bell. I don't know if this was decently recorded. I've never made a true crime video before, so please be nice to me. I'm still not done, though. Guess what? She's got more to say. I do. I have a little bit of a what I think thing. It's actually quite long, but, you know, we're going to go through it. What I think. So Mary Bell was heavily abused by her young prostitute mother since she was born. When all you are taught is violence, it is all you can replicate. So, like, I think that's a simple, like, that's not a groundbreaking theory or statement. It's just, like, especially when you're born with psychopathic disorder and you lack emotion, when you're also taught violence as a response to anything, or especially, like, you connect violence with pleasure already at a young age because you have a prostitute mother that has BDSM lovers abusing you. Like, strangulation was probably super common where she was. I don't know if that made sense, but you know what I'm saying? Like, she probably saw, like, it was probably something she was raised with. And even when I, like, mentioned that she did that when, like, she tried to suffocate a girl when she was, even before, like, the first attempt, like, at school when she was little. It said that she had a hard time bonding with her peers, but it also was because she had been introduced to intense sexual acts and mature topics which troubled her. She had nothing in common with her peers, and being misunderstood ignites rage in people. I think that's also pretty clear. No one could understand her. No one could see what she was going through. No one was going through anything similar that she knew of. She was, like, very alienated. When you cannot hurt your abusers, people often turn to projecting and taking out their anger on a weaker person. That's just basic psychology, like displacement as a defense mechanism. The authorities failed her. She displayed so many signs of a troubled child who was a risk to herself and others, and they never did anything. Every time she harmed someone, she was sent back to the home the violence came from. So, on a singular day, you had 4 claims from different children that she literally tried to end their lives. And you just, like, no warning, nothing, like, no social worker, like, got involved that, like, we should check on this kid every once in a while, you get what I'm saying? Like, that should be alarming. That a kid tried to kill 4 kids in one day. Like, okay. And then 2 weeks later, she ends up actually committing a murder. And it's like, and they didn't think, like, and, you know, I don't know, maybe they're just not, like, maybe because we know it now, I'm reaching, but 3 girls strangled. I guess there was no marks, but we knew it wasn't poison. What else could it be? Because there was stuff coming out of his mouth, so I feel that connects it to the throat. Like, and we know, and Mary and Norma showed up to the place. And it's like, if someone noted this, that I can access this information, they probably had it, but just didn't think of it or didn't consider it. And they called Martin, or like, no, they visited Martin Brown, and like aunt, and like had the police and authorities been asking the right questions to the right people, they would have noticed suspicious behavior. You know what I'm saying? I'm really thirsty. Being a child and easily impressionable, after witnessing sadomasochistic acts, she could easily start associating pain with gratification. The line of consent is also never drawn by a parent when they are sexually assaulting their children. All she knew was that torturing was supposed to make her feel good, because otherwise, why would people do it to her? Because especially with the lack of ability to feel her own emotions because of the psychopathic personality disorder. Apparently, it feels good. Why else is it happening to me? Norma's habits of being excitable and clapping her hands also led me to believe that she was a perfect witness, because she could be easily convinced that it was okay. I don't know, I didn't mention this, but when Norma was found not guilty, she started clapping her hands and like celebrating. So, if told something was right, Norma would support it without a doubt. When told it was wrong, Norma would stop supporting it and guilt would hit her all at once. Mary's mother should have been investigated. Parents should be investigated in cases where children under 12 commit crimes where usually they cannot be charged. So before you can nowadays you can't even get, even if you commit a crime, can't go in your file before you're 12 years old. I feel like if it's a crime of this, severity, parents should definitely be investigated, because where is this coming from? And, regardless of her intelligence and ability to manipulate the legal system in order to make herself appear innocent, she was still a traumatized child influenced by her environment. Being also born with a disorder that lacks emotional control, she could have also been held in a mental institution providing therapy and treatment for her trauma instead of a regular juvenile facility. If this crime was committed nowadays, she probably would have received more treatment for her psychopathy. One thing the justice system did right was charging her for manslaughter rather than murder on diminished responsibility based on her psychological condition. Okay. Those are all my thoughts for the Mari Bell youngest killer in Britain case. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope this wasn't horrible. And I'll see you next Tuesday. It's a joke.